All right, welcome back to the Play On Footy channel. Today we're going to be looking at the round 4 roundup, gather round in Adelaide. And the first match, which seems like a lifetime ago, was Adelaide versus Melbourne. Melbourne obviously coming away with the chocolates. Season over for Adelaide, I believe. I don't see them coming back from this. Jordan Dawson was the highest AFL fantasy with 112. Then you got Matt Crouch, 106. And Smith at 105. And for Melbourne, Petrarca having another great season at 112, Max Gawn at 109, and Viney for 90. What I really liked about this game was that May down back, even though with his injury with his ribs, did really well. So did Van Rooyen up forward, kicking 2 goals. And Lebo was excellent down back with May as well, the big twin towers down there. What I disliked was Pickett hit. I think it was just careless from Pickett. And Tex Walker so out of form. His goal scoring, not able to convert, is really hurting Adelaide this season, and whether or not it was right for him to keep playing on is yet to be seen, but I just don't think it was. Adelaide's kicking woes, again with Tex Walker, isn't helping. I just don't know what to say to Matty Nicks and what they can conjure up for next week. Next game was Brisbane versus North. Brisbane got away with the chockies here, 112 to 42. North's backline was exposed, so much so that Alistair Clarkson moved Charlie Comben back. He's normally a forward. For Brisbane, Joey Danaher kicked 5 goals, 135 AFL fantasy. McCluggage, 126, and Josh Dunkley, 114. For North, it was Harry Sheezel yet again. He's dominating AFL fantasy, 121. Charlie Comben, who I mentioned before, did really well down back. Very athletic for a 6'6" guy, 107. He scored, and Cherry in the ruck, 102. What I liked about this game was Lions forward Danaher. He did really well with 5 goals, as I mentioned. And Eric Hipwood back to his best. I think he kicked 2 or 3 goals. He did really well. Greenwood's class through North there in the middle, and he kicked a goal, did really well. And then Charlie Comben down back. That's what I really like to see. And a bit of a masterstroke there from Alistair Clarkson. What I disliked with North's pressure, it really faded away after the first quarter. North's turnovers were quite high yet again. And Lions still need to beat a top 4 team. I'm not sold, obviously, on the Lions still. They beat North, but I just, they'd have to beat a top 4 team for me to have faith and belief in them again that they're on track for another finals berth. Next game, this one was at Adelaide Oval. This was Port versus Essendon. We didn't see the Essendon edge, unfortunately. Port 111 to Essendon's 42. Big loss to the Bombers. Port had Rosie, who dominated in the middle with 2 goals, 133 AFL fantasy. Jason Hall-Francis is back from his hamstring injury, got 111 AFL fantasy, and Butters as well got 106. Essendon, Zach Merritt, the captain, got 135. Nick Martin, again, really high scoring, 114 AFL fantasy, as well as Jai Caldwell, 103. What I really liked about this game was Rosie is a superstar. Absolute superstar. Seeing Butters, Rosie, and also JHF reminds me of the Eagles back in the day with cousins Judd Kerr. Unbelievable, and I think they've got a bright future there at Port Adelaide. JHF is really amazing upon his return. I think he got 31 disposals, did really well. And Merritt and Martin for Essendon Bombers are the only shining lights at the moment. Sammy Draper's sort of fallen off. Goldstein's sort of nor here nor there. And they've got no 2-metre Peter Wright, so he's obviously suspended at the moment, so they're really, really vulnerable at this stage. Mackay's doing okay down back, but apart from that, nothing really positive coming from the Bombers camp. What I disliked about this game was Bombers edge. Where was it? There was no Bombers edge. There was no pressure from them. They rolled over very easily in the second quarter, I believed. Early in the second quarter, I should say. Bombers' turnovers were really high, and Port Adelaide Finlayson had a sledge towards a Essendon player, calling him a homophobic slur, which I won't repeat, but yeah, that was probably the only negative as well coming from the game. Next game was the Eagles versus the Swans. Now, I was scared personally for this game, but the Eagles improved immensely. It was their highest score all season so far, scoring 78 to Swans 104. The pressure was really up for the Eagles. Their pressure was really elite. Liam Duggan did really well in AFL fantasy, as did Yohan McGovern. They're all scored in the high 90s. I think Duggan scored 100. And then for the Swans, Goulden scored 127 for AFL fantasy. Isaac Heaney kicked 2 goals, 108 AFL fantasy, and Chad Warner got 106 AFL fantasy. Mind you, Goulden did kick 2 goals as well and 2 behinds. What I liked about this game was Harley Reid's first AFL goal, fantastic pride and jumper. The Eagles' hunger was just there, and you can actually see a brand that they're trying to really play to, which I really liked. And the next thing I liked was Heaney and Goulden's 2 goals for the Swans. What I disliked about it was Eagles' turnovers, still making small little mistakes that are quite costly. There was a 50-metre penalty that Reid gave away. I think it was in the third quarter, I believe. And then there was another one, I think it was another young player. Can't recall it exactly off the top of my head. Locke Rawson nearly kicked his first AFL goal, the new debutant for Eagles. And what I disliked about it was Jack Darling as well. There was opportunities there for him to really stand up, and he didn't. So yeah, he's only kicked 1 goal for the season so far. And Marrick and Edwards' injuries were another sour point to end the game. Marrick had broken ribs and a punctured lung, I believe, and Edwards had a hamstring injury as well. This is the most controversial game, Freo versus Carlton. Freo kicked 63 points, Carlton 73. In the last 2 minutes, it was 63 Freo to 61 Carlton. Then there was a free kick that was paid to Cottrell. It was a touch ball, but it was paid as a mark. And then after that, Jordan Clark said something to the umpire. It was umpire dissent. Then it was called back, and there was another shot on inside 50 from a Carlton player, and it was converted. So they ended up being 2 goals up. Freo, Andrew Brayshaw got 148. Ash got 108, and Young got 108 AFL fantasy. Carlton, Wiedering down back, absolute man mountain, 118 AFL fantasy. Then Kemp 112 and De Koning 100. What I liked about it was Freo's pressure, the Blues forward pressure as well through Kerno. Mackay kicked 2 behind, so it was very quiet. And Sharp on the wing for Freo is really good. He's an absolute asset for Freo there. What I disliked was the umpiring. Obviously, very controversial game. Walters went missing. He only kicked 1 goal for the whole match. And Mackay only 2 behinds, as I mentioned before. The next game was the Dogs versus the Cats. Dogs 91 to Cats 95. Dogs can't handle the pressure. It's another game where it's just gone slipping. The Bont, 149 AFL fantasy, 132 for Libba, 125 for Trelaw, and Cats, Cameron, 116. Jack Bowie's 97 with a game high of 2 goals for him, and Grind Myers, 96 AFL fantasy. What I liked was Bonta Star. He's fantastic. Obviously tried to lead the Dogs there, but just fell short. Dogs' clearances through Riley Sanders is amazing. I think he scored up 84 AFL fantasy, which is fantastic. Cameron unlucky with 2 goals. I think he kicked 5 behinds, which is unbelievable. And Sam Darcy, wow, what a gun he's going to be with English in the ruck or up forward. He kicked 3 goals. What I disliked was Dogs not connecting. They weren't gelling in the forward line as well as they should. The Cats' inability to hit targets at times was, they're lucky that they got away with it, to be honest. And Dogs' forwards not able to lock it in. Basically, they would let it seep out from the Geelong defence. Normally it was Tom Stewart who'd come to the rescue and get it out of there. But very lucky Cats wins. And I thought Dogs throughout the better part of the night were a better team, but just weren't able to capitalise when it counted. And the next game here was Suns versus the Giants, the Expansion Cup. Suns 89 to Swans 117. Noah Anderson 113. Sam Flanders 102 AFL fantasy, and 95 Clovisy there as well. And then you got Cornelio 112, Lockie Whitfield 106, and Green 92 with 5 goals. What I liked was Green's 5 goals, of course. Giants forward goals and pressure. I think got Cadman and Jesse Hogan doing really well. Mac Andrew down back for Suns was fantastic as well. What I disliked was the Gold Coast forwards weren't able to really put any pressure on. Gold Coast kicking out of the back line was quickly turned over, which obviously favoured the Giants. And the Giants' pressure was really low at the beginning, in the midway part of the game. Even in the third quarter, it was quite low, but in the late part of the fourth quarter, it started to pick up, and that's when they sort of started kicking away a little bit. Richmond versus Saints. Richmond 60 to Saints 67. Saints went missing in the first half. They were just not able to score, and it was a very slow game. Toby and Curvis got 130 AFL fantasy. Shai Bolton 120, and Dustin Martin 115. Saints Marshall, the ruckman, got 136. Jack Steele got 131, and you've also got Wangadeen Miller 120. What I liked about this game was the Saints link through the middle, which was really good to see. There was a passage of play from King to Higgins late in the third quarter. That was a fantastic piece of play to see. Just speaks volume of what Lions trying to do there at the Saints in 2024. What I also like was Shai Bolton. Norwood's a very straight ground that they played on the weekend. So to see Shai Bolton lead up and be aggressive in the packs, especially pack marking, was fantastic to see. The other one was Zach Jones. He's a fantastic player, let alone, tactical sub that Lions basically playing him as. Since Mason Wood got knocked out a couple of games ago, 2 games ago, he's been used fantastically by Lion and he's really impacting on games. Last but not least, the Ginnivan Cup, Magpies versus Hawks. Magpies 77 to Hawks 72. For the Magpies, it was DeGoey, 135 AFL fantasy. Josh Dacos, 110, and Tom Mitchell, 110. Hawks was Carl Amon, 113. AFL fantasy, John Newcomb, 98, and Lloyd Meek, the big ruckman, who used to play for Fremantle, 89. What I liked about this was Coach Sam Mitchell's master stroke, playing Blake Hardwick, a defender, forward as the swingman. He kicked 4 goals, which was fantastic to see, and kept the Hawks in the game. Guinea goal in the first quarter was fantastic. Got a high tackle, albeit, but he got it paid, which is really good. And the other one was the Bobby Hill, dancing around Hawks players, giving them the candy, and then, lining them up a goal there. What I disliked was Magpies missed chances going forward, and the Pies backline. Braden Maynard went missing, as well as Darcy Cameron as well. The Pies just look old and slow, and they've got some massive list changes coming up at the end of this season for sure. What do you guys think of Gather Round? Leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.